Welcome to Boss Up. I'm Nicole Jones, and on this show we talk about how to start, grow, and sustain your business. I have someone very special here with me. We have been rolling together for some years, from Georgia State years. We're here in the Atlanta area, and pretty much globally. You try to make a global impact. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. So you have a number of businesses. We have been knowing each other since Georgia State University. Some kids working in different organizations, just being, making an impact into the community. And that has not changed.
Right, at all.
That has not changed one bit. So I wanted to have you on the show because we've watched each other grow. Not only in business, but personally, and just making an impact into the community. I wanted to start with you sharing a little bit about who you are and what your impact is, and then we'll get a little bit deeper.
Okay, so again, I'm Tiara Larae Johnson. I'm the founder of TLJ Agency and the co-founder of Girl Boss Suites. I have an innovative branding firm where I focus on product development, brand exposure, and helping people just make multiple streams of income. Girl Boss Suites is my passion project. It's a co-working space for female entrepreneurs, and we're actually heading into 10 cities by 2025 with Atlanta, Houston, Birmingham, and Dallas being next.
Come on, Houston, Atlanta, Vegas?
Yes. Facts.
10 cities by 2025.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And you are currently at, I want to say,
Houston.
3-4
so
locations?
Right now we're reopening, closing down, reopening, getting bigger buildings, and restructuring some stuff. So just in a shift.
Yes. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. She's already bi-coastal, guys, so this is just amazing. But Girl Boss Suites is just one of your avenues, like you just mentioned. You have the TLJ Staffing Agency and just so many, the foundations and nonprofits. You help young girls build up their self-esteem and their business acumen, and just making sure that they understand self-care and have that self-worth. So I just want to get into it all. First of all, how did you know you could do it all? Did you have this vision
since I was little? Yeah, so in 5th grade, I went to Browns Mill Elementary, and we had a book fair, and I picked up a book, Career for People Who Like Talking, and it says PR, Public Relations, which is how we met. And I was like, oh, I want to be a publicist, and I watched the movie Hancock with Will Smith, and how the guy kind of helped him redo his image, and I was like, I want to do that for people. So like, since I was little, I always had a passion for entrepreneurship. From 5th grade to 7th grade is when I really got into it. I met my first mentor, and he was always like, if you take care of business, business will take care of you. Hard work yields rewards, and that kind of stuck with me. And I just always feel like I was created to be my own boss. Like I had jobs and I was able to learn and like improve the structure, but I've always been good at leading by example and making things better. And so I just always saw entrepreneurship for myself.
Now, did you know that TLJ, or Tiara Larae Johnson, I should say, would be at the level that you are now with the multiple business vision? Like, okay, this is going to be, a huge empire, essentially.
Well, I always saw it for myself. That's where my faith came in, because faith is like trusting God, and you don't really see it, but you can feel it. It's working out for your good, right? So I've always knew that Tiara Larae Johnson would be big. Talks about trusting the process and making sure that you're prepared for success. So I always kept that in mind by having my products, being in the right rooms, being confident in who God called me to be, not wanting to conform to other people's standards or thinking I have to be so much of the world, but kind of just being in my own path, like my own niche, which is what I help my clients discover their purpose, which is your niche. So like I knew that I would be great. I just didn't know like what my process and what my sacrifice would be and how I would make money from it, if that makes sense.
You focused on the purpose and the impact before the profit actually kicked in. You're like, I know this is what I'm supposed to serve and do for the community. All the other accolades is going to come later.
It was a little crazy though, because it goes from like me sleeping on my floor, 4 jobs, 11 internships, being tired, but I knew what path I was going on. So many people would be like, well, why don't you just move back home, or why don't you just get a job, or why don't you stay this way? And it would be, I just had to say tunnel vision, because I saw it for myself, but in that moment it's like I don't have no money right now. Like I'm dreaming big and my resources not matching, but it was just something in me. Got to keep going. Like your testimony is gonna change the world. And there's so many people that'll be like, oh my God, you inspire me, or you're doing this and you're doing that. And I'm like, I'm really just doing what God called me to do. Like, I'm just, that's what keeps me grounded and focused. Like I don't really have a blueprint for it. I'm just, staying focused.
I love that. I felt that actually.
I
felt that only because a lot of the times when I have these interviews and we talk about the start of your business. You know, we talk about the seeds that were developed when we were young, or something that, you know, we read a book and something just clicked. And I love when people always mention God had an assignment on my life, and I'm just going to remain faithful and have that focus on what it is that He's calling me to actually do. Anything else you want to speak on in terms of like that early beginning?
Well, early beginning, actually, it was because of you. I kind of got my first internship when you were president of AWM, and I was like, I'm gonna try to do Real Housewives, and you was like, go for it. So
I forgot about that.
I know. I mean, that was that was really how I got my start. And I was like, you sure I'm a sophomore? You was like, I mean, just try it. And a lot of people interview for it, but I was like, I got it. They picked me. But I think when I went into the interview, the lady was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to be great. And I think that she was just like, she picked me because I was a hard worker, but I had no experience. And then from Real Housewives came Love and Hip Hop, to all these different internships, to me doing red carpets and all kind of stuff. So that's really how I got my start. Somebody took a chance on me, because I didn't have any experience in media or nothing. I just was like, I'll work hard, whatever y'all want me to do, I'm gonna show up. And I think that's the first thing in being successful, is you gotta show up. And a lot of people just aren't able to just get up and show up. And then once you show up, you gotta knock it out, get it done. And so I think we try to put so much, what is success and how to become successful, but it's real simple, just get it done. Just show up, you know?
I love that. Oh my gosh. First of all, I forgot about that. Oh my God. There's been a number of times where people are like, Nicole, you're the one that inspired me. I'm like, what did I say? Because I do not remember what I said. So that's a blessing in itself. But secondly, with that example that you just shared, basically shows that you were coachable. That person that, okay, she's not like some of the other interns who were here for clout, here to be seen, here to eventually be on the show. This girl is here to learn. She's coming in as a sponge, essentially. How can I help her develop in a way that makes sense? So I think when it comes to people thinking about their start, if you're thinking about your start, and some of the things that Tiara is mentioning, just be open, be a sponge. You don't have to go in knowing everything and the opportunities that you're trying to get into. Let's say you're in the early stages and you're trying to get an internship. Be a sponge. That is going to allow you to gain so much more access to other opportunities within your career, and kind of set that foundation for yourself, alongside of having that faith to say, this is where I need to be. It may not look pretty right now. I may not have any income. I don't know who I'm going to get my next paycheck from, but as long as you stay determined and diligent on that process, it'll pan out.
It'll work out for your good, for sure.
I love that. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's pivot a little bit. Actually, there's one other thing I want to talk about in terms of your start. You have roots in this area of where the church is actually located. For those who are watching internationally, you know, somewhere else outside of the Georgia area, House of Hope is actually located in the Decatur area, the Cab area, in Atlanta, well, in Georgia, I should say. And you have roots in this particular area. So you know a lot of the people to connect with, and your parents are well known in this particular area. Your dad is a commissioner. Like, can you speak a little bit more about that?
Definitely. So my dad is a county commissioner. And my mom is also a minister. She's a doctor. Both of my parents are doctors. And they were a huge part of my foundation, because they taught me hard work. They taught me, you know, being a leader, being thoughtful, being kind, but still, you know, sticking. I was little, we've been in this area. My dad's been campaigning. Like everything from since I've been little until now, I've been a part of community service. Whether it be in politics, whether it be at the church with my mom, like my parents always had me involved, from Ben Carson Science Academy to acting, dancing, whatever that they could keep my mind cultivated. And they gave me so much experiences. And I really thank God that they were able to do that, because I didn't have to go looking for anything or searching for validation in anything or anyone else, because my parents taught me, like, you are good enough. You are more than enough. Like, being a Christian is a real thing. They showed me those examples, because, you know, sometimes you might not be able to have a good example of Christianity in your home, but they were also real, because they from Chicago, so they didn't sugarcoat nothing either. And so I was able to have a great foundation in that. Like, not everything was handed to me, but also, like, if I was to stumble or make a mistake, like, I knew I had a support system. Not saying I should keep doing those things. They wasn't gonna put up with no craziness, but it was always good to know that they were praying for me and supporting me, and they wanted me to be more. They always, like, cultivated my dreams. And that's another reason why I started TLJ Little League, for girls with dreams, because girls with dreams become women with vision. And because my parents did that for me, I want to do that for you. So just being growing up on the east side of Atlanta in DeKalb County definitely shaped who I am today for sure.
I love all of that.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to point out. Before I moved forward, I was like, wait, let me make sure this is included, because having that support system is so key.
Yeah.
Having that unit, grandma, parents, cousins, whoever can support you in this journey, friends as well.
Yeah.
I think it's important to mention, especially if you're trying to get to a place where your business is, at a place of where you deem success.
Right.
So I think I can't omit basically acknowledging where that foundation came from and why that's important to you.
Definitely.
And how rooted you guys are in the community, because you were essentially groomed for a lot of the things that you've already been accomplishing.
Yes.
And now you're passing the torch and helping the TLJ, Little Leagues, and young girls who may not have a similar upbringing, or they heard encouraging words the way that they do. I have had the pleasure of participating in quite a few TLJ Little League events, and just the young girls and the conversations that we have in those circles. It's impactful.
Yeah.
It brings more awareness, and I think it definitely needs to be had. So thank you for setting something up like that.
More to come. That's fire for me to get it back started.
Yes, it's time.
Yes, it is, yeah. It's just so much to do with so little time.
Yes.
Would you say that the pandemic has been a trauma for citizens around the globe?
Trauma walks with us through life, through things we see, through communities we live in, through experiences that we've been exposed to. So, the pandemic kind of took all that stuff that was back there that we really haven't addressed and says, oh, well, hold up. I got another story to tell you.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember, be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
That people are truthful online more, or maybe not so much?
There's a lot of filters that women have. There's a lot of things that you really don't know that person until you actually meet them in person.
So in other words, you guys are being catfish.
Definitely.
So, okay, now we can actually properly pivot to sustaining a business. You have these different avenues that you have with your agency, the Little League nonprofit, and of course, the growth of Girl Boss Suites. What are some of those elements that help you sustain all of these? Is it the team? Of course, your faith is grounded in that. Yeah. But what else is allowing you to be able to? What
allows me?
Yeah.
Honestly, systems, policies, and procedures. Because, like, for me, I want to see people make it, and it is a part of my purpose to push people to their purpose. So sometimes people don't see the financial side of that. So this requires an invoice, or this requires a contract, because at the end of the day, I have to live. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, separating kindness and passion for profit, and being okay with, like, no, like, God called me to be wealthy, and my wealth comes from my marketplace ministry, which is TLJ Agency. So having to just be stern with contracts, and I'm always thinking, like, okay, well, this is good, I raised my prices, but it's like, no, this is not enough, because those 10 hours. So just factoring into, like, no, getting paid for what you doing for somebody versus, like, this is, like, my ministry. So that's, like, been kind of my conflict, but now it's like, no, Tiara, you good at what you do. I think that's important when structuring your business. Sometimes we doubt ourselves because of us. We like, I could do this in my sleep, so, you know, $100 is good, but it's like, no, like they're coming to you because you have a skill that they don't have. And if you allow people to, they'll pimp your gift, you know?
Ooh,
so you
girl,
have to remember.
That's a tweet right there. Pimp
and
your
my bishop
gift.
and my mom said that all the time. But like, so you have to remember, like, nah, like this is who God called me to be. Like this is my marketplace ministry. Like I have to get paid for this. Just making sure that you know your worth. And I'm finally getting to the place where I'm like, no, June 1st, 2022, these the prices. Like, and if I have to like come down off of some of the things how I live or change some habits to like tell people no, then that's just what it's gonna have to be. So just being firm in like your prices, and your policies and procedures and your contracts, because once you get to a certain level in business and a certain income, it becomes not fun anymore because you gotta file taxes. Like now shooting content is not fun because you have to do it. So like just remembering your why. When you get to that point in business where you have to be so structured that it's not necessarily that's where I'm at, where it's like, okay, Tiara, just get it done so you can get back into the fun part. You know?
No, I think what you just mentioned is critical because I see this with a number of people and more specifically women. We're in this we pigeonhole ourselves essentially in terms of like understanding what our worth is, what our value is for the work that we actually provide. With that, like you said, that ministry, that marketplace ministry is. And so we think, well, I do this so well. I'm great at baking and cupcakes and making cakes. I'm only going to sell these for like maybe $25, $30. But meanwhile, it's taking you almost 8 hours to like purchase the ingredients, make the cake, put the dressing on it, you know, decor and fondant and whatever, delivery. Gas prices ain't no joke right now. So when you think about, okay, I'm great at this, but I want it to be affordable for the people I serve, but in return, it's actually not bringing you a return. There is no ROI. There is no return on investment. The pleasure of actually doing the work, hindsight, there's really no kickback for you as a person who is gifted and talented in the area that you're trying to serve in. So I see that so often where a lot of people and a lot of women are fearful to actually charge what they're worth. And they just sit on that to the point where it's like, well, my business is just not going to work because people are not supporting me. It's not that people are not supporting you. You might be targeting because your prices are too low. You probably need to increase those prices, and then you'll start attracting the right people who is actually your audience.
And you'll know when something is not for you because when something is forced, nothing around you is going to work out. It's like, even if you are struggling in your business, it's kind of like how I said a couple of months ago, everything around me has seemed to be going wrong, but I felt a lot of peace. You know, like, and even in the midst of the chaos, I still felt peace because I was going higher and like my purpose, and it was uncomfortable for me. And like on the flip side of it, I was like, dang, what am I gonna eat today? But on the other side of that, I'm like, no, I'm okay. It's going to get me into greater. So like sometimes when you're shifting, if you're supposed to end, then it'll feel like you should end and you won't get any steps or going into the next thing. But when it's for you, you'll have peace in the chaos, peace in the storm, like peace in the midst of like everything going wrong. You still feel like, oh, this is for me. It's like, you know, like you're gonna come out greater. So like that was me February and March, because I was like, oh no, this can't be real. And then I got one call and I got another call, and it took a minute for it to come and me to get back on track. And I'm still coming out of that season of my life. But at the same time, it was just like in the midst of everything that was going on around me, I felt so much peace.
That's amazing. That's a word. That's a testimony right there. I thought you was about to get up and start preaching.
I'll be trying to hold it
in. That is very telling. That is a great sign of growth because I understand what you mean. A couple years ago, I would have been like, what do you even mean? What do you mean peace during the chaos? Doesn't even make sense. And I'm sure some people watching are like, peace during the chaos? Like, I'm trying to get somebody to bail me out, like in terms of money-wise. Like, I don't understand. And some of the viewers might be listening like, I just don't get that. But it is a sense of when you are actually operating in your purpose. And those are like milestones. And essentially it's like, okay, now I know I'm about to have a breakthrough. There's something about to happen, especially if it's like 5-6 calls happening back to back. It's like, okay.
It's coming. I don't have it right now, but it's coming. So it's like, will you keep going in you know, and sometimes like people would be like, oh, as Christians, people might be like, oh, y'all talk about the Bible a lot, but now being older, I realize that God gives us so many examples and had so many people go through the same things that we're going through. And like when we were younger, just like, oh yeah, Noah's Ark, oh yeah, Esther. But then as you get older, it's like, no, like that is real. Like, you know, from Noah building the ark, everybody thought he was crazy. And he was just like, okay, God, I'm gonna be out here building this ark 40 days, 40 nights. Like, I gotta get these people together, do all this stuff. And people were just like, he's crazy, but like Noah like knew what God told him to do. Yeah. And that's how I feel about Girl Boss Sweets. Like, it seemed crazy. What, you wanna be a franchise? What, you wanna be in 10 cities? Like, what, you about to get a new building? You don't even got it. You don't have no investor. You don't have nothing. Like, you know, but I feel like God is like, you know, if you build it, I'ma send him. And he does. It might be a little slow, but I'm saying like, I just be like, okay, well, Noah kept building the ark, so I'm gonna keep putting up these buildings. And then I feel like if it's not for you, then it's not gonna work out. Yeah. So it's like we got examples of people that nobody knew that are doing stuff. Like, you know, even with Oprah, Tyler Perry, all of them, like, they're still like us too. Yeah. And God blessed them to perform, to do things in their purpose. So I feel like I'm the same way. It's me next. You know? Yes. So, like, I'm up next. Right. On the flip side of that, so you mentioned like I right now see myself as like in Noah Ark's position. Yeah. I'm building something that people don't understand, but I know, and it's within me that this is what's supposed to be built. Right. And it's going to be a franchise. On the flip side, have you had a moment where you're like, and then something just clicks and it's like, okay, maybe this isn't necessarily all the time in terms of sustainability of my businesses. This is not going to work. Like, what did that feel like? What was that trigger for you to know I need to stop building? Yeah. Well, I guess I haven't came to the point where I need to stop building, more so the point where I need to pivot. Okay. So it was like, I never feel like I need to. So what happened was when I first did the Houston location, pop-up shops and beauty brands and all that is like really popular. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do pop-ups, we're gonna do this. And then I heard this so clear, like one time I was up there and God was like, keep the standard. Like, you weren't called to that for Texas, and Girl Boss Sweets isn't called to that. You're called to build women's businesses and put to like Speak Life Saturdays, you know, talking about God and having like people come through and really building women businesses, like an incubator program, office hours, workshops, business classes and courses. Like, God was like, that's what I called you to do. And you're getting away from that because you're looking at the financial side. So it wasn't necessarily like, don't stop building. It was like, keep the standard. And I heard that and I was like, well, God, with the standard doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna make the money, because with the pop-up shop, I could do that and make rent, or with the pop-up shop, I can do that and make a profit. But with business classes, I might not be able to make a profit with a $25 class every other, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but God was like, yeah. But then when people are starting their businesses and they don't even have LLCs, then, you know, so God was just like, keep the standard, keep the standard. So that's when everything got a little bit easier. Wow. So not necessarily stop building, but getting a halt because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing was kind of like what happened to me. That makes sense.
Every discipline starts with creating a habit. Find a plan that works for you. You can put a reminder in your phone, call so-and-so in 30 days. You can't use the excuse that, oh, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert. You know, stuff people like to say. Nah, if you're not outgoing, right, you better get going, because that's the only way networking works.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best planned 90 minutes of your life? Or that surprise party for your anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Welcome to this week's edition of Single in the City. I am Justin Gilbert.
Maturity comes in, and a lot of people negate that part of being an adult and dating and being single in the city.
What is the biggest favor or regrettable, craziest thing you've done?
You know, we get the meat, the potatoes, but the boundaries can be the vegetables. You know, you gotta have them. You know, you gotta eat them.
We will see you next week for another episode of Single in the City.
If you didn't know, then I got to tell you, you're my lucky strike.
That gives a clear picture of, okay, it may not be, like you said, a stop, but it's more so like, let me pivot this because now I'm hearing a clear voice and I need to obey what I'm hearing because this ain't gonna go right if I continue down this path.
It's not, yeah.
And in some of those instances, it's almost like, God, this don't make no sense because those don't pay the bills.
Right,
And that's where
the faith comes in.
Yes,
yeah.
The faith comes in. You restructure how you have your business model. The pricing may need to increase, and stay focused on what the original standard was for your business.
Facts. So
that's a lot.
Yeah,
girl, you got so many balls in the air, but it's staying up there. Everything is staying afloat the best way possible because I think again from that foundation of your faith and the systems you have in place. Do you have a team that assists you as well? Like, how does this work in terms of, that part of sustainability?
So I do have a co-founder, and we have partners. So, like, for every city, we have a partner. So I'm not going into all these cities. It's women that are wanting to build these spaces. So we're partnering with them in every city. As far as TLJ Agency, I have a designer or designers that I work with. And eventually, my goal this year is to get an assistant or admin person on my team because, you can't get some multi-millions by yourself. So I do have people in position that work in my business. But as far as like another me, that's what I'm praying for. Put
it out into the atmosphere. You need it. Like, I need that. Yeah. Wherever you are, Tiara 2.0, I need you.
Facts. ASAP.
Awesome. So, okay, let's get into the growth aspect. Since we're going there, we're talking about growth, finding Tiara 2.0. Let's talk about the growth aspect of business. I know we have some of the examples of like what you offer inside of your programs. Can you speak a little bit about the growth factor and what we're seeing here?
So product development is the biggest thing right now that I'm working on is helping brands become branded. I feel like the branding details give you that extra special touch. So these are my personal products. The Dream Investment is an action guide and planner to successfully shifting your dreams so you can prosper and profit. And I have potential to product because once you take that potential and make a product, you'll be profitable. So in all of my personal brand products under Tiara Larae Johnson, I try to make sure that I create things that I need. So I needed a planner where I can look into my dreams 10 years from now. And that's what this does for me. It starts from the mental shift all the way into the next level to consistency. And potential to product is like pray, prosper, profit. It shows you like, okay, cool, you got this idea, but what's next? My goal under my personal brand is to help people go from their purpose to execution because so many people have ideas and people are dreaming big, working, doing all kind of stuff, running around in circles. But it's like if you can't execute what God gave you or you can't execute what's in front of you, then it's really no need.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a disobedience in terms. And you won't, if you don't execute and you don't put that action behind what you think your potential or what you know, not what you think, but what you know your purpose and potential is, you'll lose it. Take it away from you.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, we don't want that. Let's get past that area of like between the idea and execution. There's like this gray area where people are like, okay, now I'm just stuck.
Right.
And then you try to blame it on different reasons. Well, I don't have enough money, or I don't have the right people, or nobody supported me.
Nobody watched my kids, or no foundation, or this person did this to me. I didn't have a mom. So many different things. But anytime you have a chance to wake up and live life, no matter who you are, what you go through. And some people could be like, well, you grew up with both your parents, or you grew up this way. But like, I know people who came from nothing and still became something. It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
And if you're able to just tap in with somebody who can help you ignite that purpose, it's like you get that chance to. So just giving to people who feel like they don't have that, like, hey, no, if you got something in you, let's get it out of you. Let's execute it. Like, the world needs you, but some people just need to hear that.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And the fact that if I now put all your businesses on the table, all the cards on the table, I love the fact that your businesses are end to end.
Yeah.
So you have the Little League nonprofit organization that's helping develop and grow these young women.
Yeah.
You have the Girl Boss Suites, which is a co-working space, accelerator, incubator in different cities, 10 cities coming soon.
Yes.
And then you have your staffing agency for those who may not necessarily fit in these two buckets, and they're just like, I just need a career. Like, I'm more on the career path journey.
Yeah.
or I just need a service when it comes to graphic design.
Yeah.
You kind of serve all of those different elements. So from a growth standpoint, I applaud you.
Thank you.
Because I have seen the pockets of growth, the waves of growth, the ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So I definitely applaud you for everything that you're doing.
I appreciate that, for sure.
Before we wrap up, anything that you want to share with the audience in terms of just like maybe 3 tips when it comes to developing yourself, testimony of yourself?
Okay. Yes, so my new campaign is more moving on resiliently every day, because if you can get a chance to wake up in the morning and start a new day, if you move on resiliently, right, being resilient means so much to me, because it's like you can bounce back, you can catapult into your next. So the first thing is do more, be more, sacrifice more, create more, like move on resiliently every day. The second thing is what I said before, just show up. And when you show up, get it done, knock it out. Like, you know, really make your dreams come true. And the third thing is trust God, no matter what it looks like. That's my biggest thing. Like, I'll be praying the other day. I just knew everything was gonna come to a crash, but I just kept praying, and I woke up and I was like, okay, God, you got me. So I know people can all the time be like, pray, pray, pray. And I used to look at my mom like, you keep telling me to pray, that's not gonna work. But no. Like, strategically pray for where you want to go and for where you're heading. And if you do that and walk into your purpose and do the work, you'll never fail.
I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yes,
Tiara.
thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you gained something monumental from this conversation. You saw a little bit of yourself in the testimony, was able to take some of these tips that Tiara shared and really apply it to your life and put that action plan behind all of it. So thank you again. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes of Boss Up, because you do not want to miss the rest of this season. Bye, guys.